Hello, and welcome to another tutorial on the Nextscipaper channel. In this video, we're going to talk about some well-known academic search platforms, and we're also going to discuss how to find journals related to our own field of study. If you remember, in the previous session, we talked about the components of a research article and explained what kind of information we usually see on the first page of an article. We gained a very basic understanding of what a scientific document looks like. Now, in order to move forward and start examining different sections of an article, we first need to access that article. In other words, before anything else, we need to reach the article itself, and at this point, we don't yet have the knowledge of how to actually find an article. Up to now, we've only gained a basic understanding of how to recognize one. So, in this session, we intend to talk a bit about search platforms and search engines, and by the end, we'll also talk about how to find journals related to our field and how to access articles relevant to our discipline. The platform we want to talk about today is a search platform and search engine called Google Scholar. Google's search engine is an internet search engine that allows users to access web pages, images, videos, news, and a huge variety of content simply by typing keywords and clicking the search button. Google Scholar works in the same way. It is also a search engine, but instead of giving you access to general websites or entertainment content, it gives you access to scientific articles, theses, books, reports, conference papers, and other academic documents. It also has a set of features that make this search engine unique. Let's search for it, and open it. When we open the first page and search for Google Scholar, before even clicking on it, Google Scholar gives us a short description of itself. It says, Google Scholar provides a simple way to search scholarly literature, allowing us to access different types of academic sources across various fields, which may include articles, theses, or other materials. When we click on it, we see an interface that looks almost identical to Google's main search engine, because Scholar uses the same search engine. But the difference is that instead of taking us to websites or more general content, it creates a connection to academic databases. In other words, it brings us articles and materials related to scientific documents based on the keywords we search here. Google Scholar introduces itself with a phrase, a kind of expression, that says, "Stand on the shoulders of giants." From this expression, we can understand a concept. This phrase generally means that we can use the achievements and knowledge of those who came before us in order to reach higher levels of understanding. You can see that it starts with this expression to convey the idea that this platform provides you with all the scientific data of previous scholars so that you can elevate your own scientific work. Now, if you look at the search section, you'll see two options. One says, articles, and the other says, case law. If your field is law or related to legal studies, you can select the case law option to access legal and judicial reports. Whatever keyword you search, it will bring you legal reports related to that keyword. But most students should keep the selection on the articles option. Now let's search for a word, for example, health. When we search, as you can see, it says it has brought us around 8 million results, and it performed this search in less than 1/10 of a second. When you look at the results, you'll notice that Google Scholar lists a group of titles for you, showing them as individual records. It usually displays around 10 records per page, each one related to the keyword you searched. On the left side, you'll see a small panel that allows you to control your search in a very limited way. For example, you can specify the time range of your search. You can choose to see articles from 2025 onward, or from 2021 onward, or you can leave it on, anytime, which shows results from all years. You can also set a custom range, for example, from 2020 to 2025, and then click the search button or press enter. Google Scholar will list all the articles, books, scientific documents, review papers, research papers, meta-analyses, or anything else that exists within that specified time range. You can also sort the results by date. When you choose Sort by Date, Google Scholar shows you the most recent articles first and then moves backward in time. So it brings the newest publications to the top. This panel is very limited, but it gives you some basic control over your search. Now let's clear the search and go back to the main page of Google Scholar. You'll notice that Google Scholar provides a library section called My Library. We have certain software tools for managing references, like Mendeley or EndNote, which collect and organize scientific sources for us. Their name says it all: reference management software. I'll explain all of them in detail in a full playlist. Google Scholar has created something similar. It provides a personal library where you can save articles you like. For example, if I search for health again and click the Save button, I can add that article to my library. I can create a new list or add it to an existing one. Let's say I create a new list and name it Health. When I click Done, the article is saved there. So if I come across an article or a book and don't have time to read it at that moment, I can save it in my library. And when I open the library, you'll see that the article is there. In addition to this, you can create a profile for yourself. If someone searches your name on Google Scholar, your profile will appear. Almost all professors have one. If you type a professor's name and add the word Scholar, their Google Scholar profile usually shows up, and sometimes even without typing Scholar, it still appears. For example, if I search for a professor whose name I have in mind, like Votu Saw, Edward Matahila, the first thing Google Scholar shows is his profile. It lists all his publications, the keywords related to his work, and the articles he has published in recent years. We'll talk later about citations, the index, and the other metrics shown on this page. For now, I just want you to know that you can create your own profile on Google Scholar, and most academics already have one. On the main page, there's also a 3-line menu that gives you access to the Settings section. In the Settings menu, you'll find different options that allow you to control your results. For example, you can choose to display 20 results per page instead of 10. There's also an option that changes how articles open. By default, when you click on an article, it opens in the same tab. But if you go into Settings and enable the option, Open each selected result in a new browser window, then save the changes, you'll see that when you search for an article and click on it, it opens in a new tab instead of replacing your search page. This way, you can keep your original search results open. Google Scholar provides a space with these kinds of features, although they're very limited. For more advanced searching, we usually use citation databases like Scopus, or PubMed for medical fields, or Web of Science, which are used much more frequently. But Google Scholar still has its own uses and is extremely practical and helpful. Let's explore the rest of the settings menu. When you open Settings, the first option is Language, where you can choose your preferred language. There's also an Account section where you can create your profile. And you can add extensions as well. Extensions are tools that give you faster access to certain features. For example, the extension shown here, the Google Scholar button, can be downloaded and installed. After adding this extension, you no longer need to open the Google Scholar website. The Scholar icon appears in your browser, and when you click it, you can search directly from there, and it will show you the articles without needing to visit the site. This is an extension you can add if you want. Now we've learned Google Scholar at the most basic level, and we understand that we can search within this academic platform and access articles. At this point, if I click on any of these results, it will take me directly into the content. You should treat it exactly like Google. Whatever is on your mind, and not just a single keyword, you can type a full phrase, and based on the conversation you have with this search engine, it will bring you the results. One of the differences between Google Scholar and citation databases is that citation databases require a specific method of searching. You must use specific keywords and apply certain rules. Citation databases generally connect you only to peer-review-ed scientific literature. But Google Scholar connects you to a much broader range of literature, including gray literature, such as theses, technical reports, and materials that may not even be formally published as articles yet. Since it is a search engine, If there is a blog post or a website containing content related to your keyword, it will bring that as well, just like Google. Now, if I add the word article at the end of my search, you'll see that it brings me articles. And if I click on one, it takes me directly to the journal where the article is published, and we can view it. If you remember from the previous session, we talked about what DOI is, what a review article is, and we looked at the title, the authors, and the affiliations. Here, you can click the PDF button to download it. You can see the keywords and access the full article. Let's go back. On the main page of Google Scholar, there is a section called Metrics. In this section, you'll see a list of the most popular journals, without considering discipline. When you click View All, you'll see that it lists around 50 to 100 of the world's top journals, again without considering discipline. At the top, there is an option you can open to select your field. For example, Health and Medical Sciences. When you choose this, it brings you the journals related to that group of disciplines. Let's take a look at the group categories. Generally, all academic fields in the world fall into these 8 groups: business, economics, and management, chemical and materials sciences, engineering and computer science, health and medical sciences, humanities, literature and arts, life sciences and earth sciences, physics and mathematics, and social sciences. You can see that all academic disciplines fit into these 8 groups. Now we see that a category is available, and the journals are listed according to these groups. It shows which journals are more reputable, based on a metric that I will explain later. Then it says you can also choose subcategories. Meaning, you can select your exact field. For example, if you study immunology, it will bring you immunology journals, or physiology, public health, psychology, nursing, and so on. For example, if I choose nursing, you'll see that it lists the journals related to nursing, showing the most reputable ones based on the metric I'll explain later. Now imagine this is your first time ever encountering an academic search engine. You don't know anything about articles, and you have no idea what journals exist in your field. You can simply come to the metrics section, click View All, choose your category, and see which group your field belongs to. For example, if you study engineering, you choose the engineering and computer science category. Then it brings you a list of journals related to that group. If you also know your subfield, even better, you choose it, and it brings you the journals specific to your subfield. For example, if your field is data mining, you select it. It usually brings around 20 records, meaning the top 20 journals from the past 5 years, selected based on that metric. If I click on one of them and search for it, when I open it, it takes me into the journal's website. Once you enter the journal's website, you can see the published articles and browse through them. Let's try another example. Let's go to the health category, choose physiology, and open one of the journals. As soon as we enter the journal, we see the general layout of a journal website. In the next session, I will explain what this general layout includes. There are certain structural elements that are common across all journals. Once you understand these structures, which I will explain in the next session, you will be able to use any journal easily. On the homepage of a journal, you will usually see a group of recent or highlighted articles that you can access. It's that simple. For now, knowing this much about Google Scholar is enough for the first session. So, if we want to quickly review what we learned, we understood that there is a search platform and search engine called Google Scholar, which uses the keywords we search to look through academic databases and gray literature, and it brings us a group of articles. And if we have no information about our field and don't know which journals belong to it, we can go to the metrics section, choose our category and subcategory, and identify the top 20 journals from the past 5 years. Then we can enter those journals and find articles related to our field. In the next session, we plan to explore the user interface of a journal, understand what sections a journal typically includes, and learn how to access its articles. We will also learn how to extract an article, what it means when an article is locked or open, and how to access an article even if it is not open access. We will talk about all of these topics in the next session. If this content was helpful for you, make sure to like, leave a comment, and subscribe. I hope you practice what we covered today and try searching on your own. From this point on, research is no longer about taking notes or memorizing. You need to search on your own, explore different journals, and discover features that I may not have pointed out. And if any part of the content is unclear or you want to learn more, leave a comment. I hope this session was helpful for you. See you in the next video.